Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 26th of January, comes to you from London, and it's Australia Day, so happy Australia Day. So we start by looking at currencies. We see the dollar actually having a little bit of recovery there, so back into short-term bullish territory, but the medium and long-term trends are still bearish. Looking at the euro, we're seeing that just weakening against that stronger dollar ring. Remember, this is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute charts, my long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market. Taking a look at sterling, we're slightly sinking against that stronger dollar, back to the 136.50 level. So we have been as high as 137.50. But for the moment, we've just turned short-term bearish. We do still have upside targets to nudging the high 130s. So when we see the dollar pull back, that's where sterling is likely to go. Against the euro, sterling is holding up at 112.50. Just maybe finding a little bit of resistance at this level on the medium-term chart, and the long-term chart also hitting some resistance there around 113. Looking at Bitcoin, we're sitting at 31,600. We did break the $30,000 momentarily last week. We have activated these downside targets, and we've got a new short-term downside target to 28,000. So don't be surprised to see Bitcoin falling back into the 20s. The S&P 500 index was up 0.33% yesterday, so it's edging ahead. The Nasdaq 100 we saw pushing higher. Apple actually opened at a new high, breaking the September high, so that was quite significant. The Dow was up 0.7%, and we're just seeing the futures off slightly this morning. The S&P future down 0.06%, and the Nasdaq E-mini is down slightly as well. Market volatility, the VIX is sitting at 23. We've really been in this range now for a few months, so markets taking this everything that's happening pretty much in their stride. The FTSE future is up 0.75% in the UK, and the DAX in Germany, the cash market up 1.4%, looking stronger, having broken to that new high, just holding it. The CAC 40 in Paris still has quite a bit of work to do to break to a new high, and we're seeing it just falling away there on that short-term chart. Japan was down 0.78%, so just weakening a little bit there, but still bullish on all three time frames. And if we look at the Hang Seng, it was down 2.5%, having leapt by a similar amount the day before. So all we've done is unwind that move. The fact is we are bullish on all three time frames, and that trend is really quite strong on the Hang Seng. Looking at the Shanghai market, it was down 1.5% as well, but the Chinese breakout is still very much in play. And if we look at India, we were down 0.25%, but holding on to bullish trends there. India's had a fabulous run over the last 12 months, so that's quite significant. The Aussie market was up 0.33%, and of course was closed last night for Australia Day, so this is Monday's move there. Taking a look at gold, we're seeing gold sitting at $1,850. This seems to be just a sort of line of action level at the moment for gold. Really been mooching around in this level for the last few months. Just a steady decline from August, but starting to look a bit better on the long-term chart, just wandering out above the cloud there. Silver, similarly, is just up this morning, but just struggling to break out of that short-term trend. If we look at US 10-year yields, sitting at 105%, they dived yesterday, so that's a really significant short-term move. We have activated the downside targets back below 1% level, so it'd be really interesting, but the trend is very much up. We hit long-term resistance on the cloud there, but bond yields will be something to watch. The energy mix this morning, we're seeing Brent crude very little changed. We're very much stuck in this range at the moment, so that's quite significant. We are nudging the top of the range, so it's looking a little bit better. This might be a consolidation pattern before we run again, so quite interesting to watch. So there's Brent crude here at 55.90. So we still have work to do to break, but we do have upside targets there. We are range bound, and we did actually go neutral this week. We felt that US nat gas had bottomed after a bad week last week, and we're seeing that improvement there, new upside targets, so that's looking better. And if we look at emissions, we're sitting here just in a range, but we have broken out of the trend there, so that's quite key. Gas prices falling back further this morning. We are still just holding this support level around 55 on gas, so that this is on on MBP. We do have downside targets. Whether we break this trend, that's going to be the key thing to watch on MBP. Will we break that trend on the front month contract? And if we look at TTF, again, we're just nudging that support level. So we are still seeing the higher high there, but that is quite key on support. And if we look at that, we just see just holding on there. We do have quite a lot of downside targets hanging over us. Again, it'll be a break of that support level. German power, no change this morning, sitting just below the 50 euro mark, just pulling back. Some downside targets that we've pulled back to, but nothing major. We are a bit range bound here as well. And if we take a look at the Nordic power contract, just holding on there as well, so that's quite key. If we look at that, quite a lot of support levels there still, very much range bound. Do have a downside target hanging over us. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.